Gedvach. A lot of the Olam on various places for midwinter vacation. So I want to go over what we spoke about this morning. The truth is, this week's Parashas is loaded. It's almost hard to figure out what not to talk about. But we're going to try to stay focused on one little point. We see how much control we have over other people or what happens in the world, and how one person can make a difference in the world, l'toiv or chas v'shalom l'ra. The beginning of this week's parasha, we come to Kriyas Yamsuf. Looking back at Kriyas Yamsuf being one of the most amazing nisim that happened, which showed the world HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It was the birth of Klal Yisrael as a nation. You would expect that there was a fight who should be Zeicha to jump in first. And yet, if you look in the Gemara and Soid Daf Lamed Zayin, it was quite the opposite. Nobody wanted to jump in. There was a raging sea in front of them. The truth is, Klal Yisrael at this moment was stuck. There was no place to go. The Mitzrayim was after them. The Medrash says they had Chayes Royes on both sides, and a raging sea in front of them, with nowhere to turn. And Klal Yisrael started davening, and the Eibishter says, "Ma titzak elai dabal b'nei Yisrael v'yisol." What are you crying to me? What are you davening? Chaim HaKadosh asks, what else should a Yid do in this situation? A Yid shouldn't daven. Of course I should daven. And he answers something amazing. Klal Yisrael had no schusim. And the Eibishter tells Klal Yisrael, all your schusim dried up. You have no schusim. But an act of emunah, of jumping in, that will give you and generate the schusim that you need in order to be saved in this situation, which is a lesson for life. That sometimes emunah is not just a way for us to make it through, or just a mitzvah. It's actually what creates the Yeshua. And nobody wants to take that plunge, and Nachshon ben Aminadov jumps in. Nachshon ben Aminadov was drowning. Moshe is still davening. The Eibishter tells Moshe, says the Gemara, your people are drowning. Nachshon is drowning. Don't daven. And what happens? Everyone jumps in, and that emunah generates the ability for the Kriyas Yamsuf to actually take place. So Nachshon ben Aminadov was the one that paved the way. He showed the way. He showed how to be courageous and jump in. And through that, he got others to do that. And through that, we were Zeicha to Kriyas Yamsuf. And this is a metaphor for people who want to say that they should be the one to jump in. And in our lives, sometimes when we jump in and we do something good, and others follow, we have the schus on our shoulders of everyone who followed the Tov. What happened after this was, Klal Yisrael went from being slaves to the world being in awe of Klal Yisrael. Shamo amim mirgozun, chil ochaz yeshe Parashas oz nivalu alufei edon, le'ela moiva chizeh merod, namoigu kol yeshe kanan. The world, every country, they were scared. No one would come near, no one would touch. They were in awe of Klal Yisrael. Vayaminu b'Hashem u'v'Moshe avdai. There's a famous piece in the Tveras Yisrael in Kiddushin on the Mishnah of Tov Shebaroifim Lo Gehenim. And the Mishnah says, Tveras Yisrael says, that there was a story after Kriyas Yamsuf, when the world was in such awe of Klal Yisrael and Moshe. This Arabic king wanted badly to know, who is this Moshe Rabbeinu? Who is this Ish Elokim that took them out of Mitzrayim? So he sent his best painters to go paint a portrait of Moshe Rabbeinu. And they came back, and now he called together the smartest, the biggest Chachamim that knew Chachmas HaPartzuf, that could read people's facial expressions, facial features. And he asked them, who's this Moshe Rabbeinu? And he was shocked at their report. Moshe Rabbeinu, this man we're looking at right now is a Balgaiva. He chases money and a whole slew of bad midas. And the Melech got angry at them. He says, this is talking about Moshe Rabbeinu. What are you lying to me for? They said, we're not lying. This is the picture we see. If there's something wrong with what we're saying, it's the painters that didn't do a good job. And he turned to the painters and says, what are you doing here? And they said, this is exactly what he looks like. And it became a big fight, and the king didn't know who to be angry at. Who was lying to him? So he took the portrait in hand, and he went himself, and he sees Moshe Rabbeinu. When he looks at the portrait, it's exactly alike. So he approaches Moshe vayelach vayavay ba'atzmai el oyel ishra elokim. Vayichra vayishtachava, the king, the Arabic king, bows down. Vayisapa LaMoshe, he tells him the whole story. And he explains to him that before he didn't know who not to trust, now he knows it's the Chachmei HaPartzuf. Those were lying to him, because the picture, the portrait, is exactly a painting of Moshe. Moshe Rabbeinu Vayan Moshe Yisrael Elokim, and he tells him, no, both the painters and the Chachmei HaPartzuf are correct. And you should know, Be'etzem, B'teva, I am a man, he's quoting what officially Moshe Rabbeinu said, who has all bad midas. And I worked, and I've overcome them, and today I'm Moshe Rabbeinu. Now it's a very, very beautiful story. It gives chizuk. There's one problem. This story is 100% not true. 100% not true. And there's a whole kuntrus written on Rayas Keneged this story. However, I want to just say over 3, maybe a 4th Raya, that this story never happened. And I'm saying over from the Maril Diskin, I'm sure Lady Diskin, Zechatzadik Levracha. In this week's parasha, this coming week's parasha, Yisroi sees Moshe so overwhelmed. He sees Moshe has so much on his plate, and he says, Moshe, you know, you have to get Va'ata Sechazeh Mikol Ha'am Anshe Chayil Yorei Elikim Anshe Emes. You have to take people to work with you, work for you. How is Moshe supposed to know who are Yorei Elikim? Who are Anshe Emes? Says the Zohar HaKadosh, very simple. Ata Sechazeh means use Chachmas HaPartzuf. Take a look at their faces. And he goes on to give us the exact necessary yediyas to be able to read someone's face, the hairline, the creases. And he says, Moshe Rabbeinu can look at the Klal Yisrael and through Chachmas HaPartzuf decide who's Anshe Emes, who's Yorei Elikim. Ask Rabbi Yeshua Leib Diskin, I don't understand something. If somebody is born a tzaddik, and now he becomes a rasha, will his facial features change? How about the other way? He's born a rasha, and now he becomes a tzaddik. Will his facial features change? If not, What's the Zohar Kodesh talking about? How is Moshe going to know who's who? Maybe they were born a tzaddik, now they're a Russian. Maybe they were born a Russian, now they're a tzaddik. Must be, it does change. If that's the case, this story can't be true. Because Moshe Rabbeinu at this point was a Ish Moshe, was the greatest in Torah, the biggest honor. It's impossible to say that today he had such facial features. Raya number 2. Yisroi tells Moshe, he comes to Moshe, he says, Ani chaysencha Yisroi ba'elecha. Now if you translate that into simple English, I, your father-in-law Yisroi, has come. It's very formal. But actually if you look in the Torah, la Torah, he quotes a medrash. Yisroi came to Machne Yisrael and he could not enter. There were Anane, a cover that didn't let him in. And he wanted Moshe to know he's there. So he took an arrow and he shot it in with these words on it. Ani chaysencha Yisroi ba'alecha. Vayetze Moshe likras chaysen. And Moshe comes out to his father-in-law. And only then Moshe brought him in. But nobody was able to get in to say that the painters and the Arabic king came to oil Moshe. It's ludicrous. A third raya, Moshe, and I'll tell you first, I'll be magdim this raya with a story. And I heard this, ish, mipi ish, from the granddaughter of the Chassam Sofer, who heard it from her mother, who was a daughter-in-law of the Heilig Chassam Sofer. And they said that by the Seder on Pesach, the Chassam Sofer was so full of Kedusha, and his face had such a shine that when she joined the family, she was told you can't look at his face during the Seder. And one time she was curious and she looked up and she was blinding. The light, there was like sparks coming out. And she couldn't even look at him. Moshe Rabbeinu, it says, Kikaran or Panov. And therefore he wore a mask. So who exactly looked at his face? The painter, the Arabic king? He was wearing a mask. But there are tzachos, you could say that maybe he painted a mask instead of Moshe Rabbeinu. But obviously the story is not true. And not only that, it's really usher to say. Aderes used to scold at people that would say over the story. Rav Kook would get upset at people for saying over the story. Why? There's a Gemara in Kedushin Kufya Tesam Beis. Lechorov Yerushalayim Ela B'Shvil Shebazazaboy Tamidei Chachamim. Yerushalayim was not destroyed only because they were Mavaza Tamidei Chachamim. And the Gemara darshans a pasuk le'ein marpa. What's that talking about? Amar Rabbi Yehuda kol ha'mevaza talmid chacham ein loy refuah lemakasoi. If somebody is mevaza talmid chacham, there is no fixing up for his makkah. That's any old talmid chacham. That's every Talmid Chacham. Kolshke Moshe Rabbeinu, Yisrael Elokim, Anav Mikol Adam, the one who brought us the Torah for sure, to be Mavaza Moshe Rabbeinu. Ramoshe Feinstein, the Tzaddik Levacha, points out the halacha in Hilchas Lashon Hara is very simple. That if a guy tells you something about a Yid, he has no nemanos. And you're not allowed to believe it. So who is the nemanos of this story? The Arabic king? There's no nemanos. And besides which, one more raya. Moshe Rabbeinu was born, it says, Atira Isa Kitoiv. Rashi says, Shenismala Habayis Kulei Oira. Moshe was born b'kedusha b'tahira. Moshe was born a holy tzaddik. And from the day he was born, he was a tzaddik. And it would be very nice to believe this. And it can work together with Kol HaGadol Mechaver Yitzro Gadol. But it's simply not true. And this is not really what happened. But I want to bring out a very important point that comes out from this story. And let's first end off the parasha. The parasha concludes with the story of Amalek. And the pasuk says, Milchama LaHashem ba'Amalek midor dor. There's Eina kisei shalom ve'eina Hashem shalom until Yimchas Amalek. And we're going to have that there's Amalek is our arch enemy. Why? Why? What did they do? They fought with Klal Yisrael. So many have fought with Klal Yisrael. The Romans, others have fought with Klal Yisrael. Why? And the answer is because they jumped in. Klal Yisrael was in a situation, Shama Amim Yergozun, Chil Achaz Yoshe Parashas. The world was in awe of Klal Yisrael. Nobody would come near us. And they went and they jumped in to a bath, even though they got burnt, Rashi says. They cooled it off for others. And because they jumped in Lara and others could follow, it's on them. So in the beginning of the parasha, we have Nachshon ben Aminadav. He jumps in Latoiv, and therefore it's on his shoulders so much good. And we have to realize that we have this choice in our life. Where do we have this choice? Today, with social media, today with all these chat groups, there are so many things. Whether you want to do it Latoiv, you can jump in and do something good and create from that others to do the other people should do good. Or chas v'shalom, you can talk lashon hara on these things. You can degrade people. You can do other things that are wrong with the social media, with these chat groups. But one thing we have to realize, when a guy gives us a story, they have no nemanas. And the fact that I afterwards see it, that's not a raya. And I'll show you what I mean. I once was invited to a backyard barbecue, swim party, goodbye party for somebody. And the Olam was around, they were having a good time. There was a big screen watching, I'm assuming, the game. And there happened to have been a photographer there from one of the local publications. And as I'm walking in, and I'm walking towards the big screen and everyone's around it, somebody flipped me the remote and I was supposed to catch it. And it should look exactly like I was the one controlling the remote. You could see that picture. You know what happened. Or do you? Today, you could even change pictures. Change what happens. And people don't realize that this is straight up lashon hara. And there's no nemanos. And if mumavazel, sometimes even chashva people with stories and people write comments, they're being mavazel kamachacham that in lo refuah lamakasa. Sometimes you can have a situation that everyone who sees it, who knows the people, understands. Somebody told me about a brother and a sister dressed up as two Hasidim dancing. And at one point, the sister's hat falls off and you see her hair coming out. And the brother, has a cute joke, says, "Ooh, meidel, meidel, meidel." And that went around to the world, and nobody knew that it was a brother and sister. And everyone assumed it to be something wrong. So there's a whole new way, and we need a whole new understanding of the halachas with what a person can or can't do. But the realization how much we can do we can start a trend l'toiv, or we could start a trend lahepach l'ra, and that's the difference between the Nachshon ben Aminadav, who takes these things and uses it for good, jumps in for good, or Chas v'Shalom, the opposite, the Amalek. And we should talk about Zeicha, that will have once again Shama Amim Yugazim, that the world would be in awe of Klal Yisrael, would be as girl Tzedek from Hirav Yameinu.